Well, build my gallows and build them high. Makes a long time climbing before I die. I want the chance.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Longbangers in association with our partners, Leaf Spirits. I'm Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
Good morning. I'm John.
How are you both doing? It's still morning,
just even though I've held everybody up by over an hour. Oh, an hour exactly now, actually.
With your middle class Christmas tree shopping.
Yes, and a big fucking breakfast. We should post that photo and let everybody know what it was.
Aye, it did look bro. John, how are you doing?
Yeah, good. How are you?
Aye, grand. I've had a long lie again today. This is like 2 days in a row with a long lie, which is terrific. Absolutely terrific.
Self-employed guy now, eh?
Aye, that's it. Got to get right into the swing it. It's funny, right? So we're talking about the win at Livingston yesterday. I've had a few messages from folk talking about 4 wins in a row. It's like the Wednesday night's game's just been obliterated for folks' memories, eh? They're going like, fuck it, the Celtic game doesn't count, so we're on 4 wins on the spin.
That's the advantages of free hits, though, isn't it?
That is interesting. That's the way they've taken it, eh?
Aye. But it's not 4 wins in a row, it's 4 wins in 5 games, which is good anyway. Like we would take that. We've gone up to 4th, overtaking Hearts, which is always nice. It was one of those, like, the results definitely went our way over the last couple of games. We maybe could have done with St Mirren getting beat yesterday, and that would have been icing on the cake. But I think St Mirren have got the legs to last the distance in the league anyway. I think I said that early on in the season that I thought they would fall away, and I still think that. So we'll get wired into the game. John, talk us through your day. You were there. What was the day like?
Well, it started off really well. I met Raymond and his laddie Keir, and we went for a wee bit of lunch, and Kaiser Soze joined us, so we're having a wee bit of blether. Wandered along to the ground, beat all the traffic, all that sort of shit. Got into the ground. That was easy despite having the paper tickets. Everything got scanned, got inside, and then it was just pretty much miserable for the next 90 minutes. Just sheets of rain blowing from right to left. There was some good football on display, but most of it was just lumping the ball and trying to capitalise on mistakes.
And if we take the starting lineup, we had Abita came back in, Golan, Miller dropped 2. I think he'd taken a knock, so they didn't want to risk him. So Rory Whittaker came in, and Dylan Venter came back into the starting lineup as well for Josh Campbell. Were you happy with the lineup?
Aye, fine. I mean, when I saw Miller wasn't on the bench, I assumed he must be injured. So I would always expect Venter be starting. I think that's just the way we play. So I was fine with it. I don't think there was any major surprise there. There never really is anymore, eh? Like that's
Hanlon for Bashiri was the other one.
Aye, yeah, but suppose somebody told us during the week that was happening. So again, I wasn't surprised because it had been sort of tipped that that was going to happen. Whether what these ITK guys are like, though, it might not be true, but
especially that one, eh?
Aye, so I wasn't surprised because of that. I think turned out Hanlon was all right. Was Bashiri on the bench?
Aye, Rocky was on the bench.
It was a straight swap.
Aye.
No, I wasn't really surprised. I was okay with it. I think the Hanlon one, I suppose, earlier in the week, but we're thinking, Newbley will start scoring goals again now because he's against Hanlon because he'd done it once. Was that last year when Hanlon was just back for injury and he stepped to the?
It was aye.
So it was like that was the kind of the narrative that was forming, but it didn't happen, and he ended up walking away with man of the match, I think so.
Aye, it was an interesting one. Like Newbley gets talked up. I mean, and I'd seen a wee bit on Twitter about Newbley through the week as well. Like Livy must be spewing that they never sold him. Kind of were trying to tout him for a lot of money, but 7 goals in 2 seasons, or a season and a half. Like so, since the start of last season, 7 league goals. Nothing this season. It's like 14 appearances. I was like, I didn't think we need to be worried about Newbley. That was my approach to the game, and he is like physical, a hard player to play against. It'll not just be Hanlon that's going to feel that. I think if he goes up against Mace players, because of the size of him, folk are going to struggle. But if he
You
beats you,
sometimes get
he's
those
shite
players with
anyway.
a purple patch sort of player though, eh? It's like, as I was talking to a boy at work who knows Motherwell quite well. He's not a Motherwell fan, but he does a bit of work with him, and he was saying that similar about Van Veen. Like, that was a purple patch.
Aye.
Like, he's 30-year-old or whatever he is. He's had one season. It's never been repeatable. And I think Newbley, they needed to sell him when he was at that point. And they obviously try to keep hold of him, maybe do it again, get more money for him. And by that time, the ghost dried up. And then, despite Martindale being out, try to tout him in the summer. Nobody bit.
Nah, I wasn't surprised. He's one of these strikers that doesn't score goals there. Like, it just. John, going into the game, I think Livy hadn't won in, if it was 6 or 7 games. I think they hadn't scored in a few games as well. Were you confident for the win, or do you think it was in the balance a bit more?
I think I was probably holding my cards a bit close to my chest with regards to the outcome of the game. Like Colin, I'll probably pick me up on my score predictions because I know he's got a 1
Just
note.
checking. I'm just checking it.
And I had so he pointed out that my score prediction in the wee bit of work that we did with the Livy guys was different for the one that I'd given you. I must just talk that amount of shit that I can't keep up with the lies or the mistruths that I tell, or the predictions that I make. I think, and to be fair, when like yesterday's game, like it wasn't a great game, and I think it was probably pretty close. So that's why I didn't want to go and make any sort of like bold declarations like 3-0 or whatever.
Although you did do 2-0. It was 2-0 your bold declaration.
Was it 2-0? So actually, I was pretty close. Like, because we did score twice.
The 3 years, yeah. Because I went for 3-1 and Matthew went for 3-0.
Well, so we're all right then. That's what I'm taking there. We're all just as right as each other.
So on the sheet, I'm going to mark wrong if you got the result wrong. Amber if you got the result. Amber if you got the result right. Red if you got it wrong, and green if you get the score correct. Right. That's where we're going to go with.
Nice one. So we were all amber then, were we?
We were all amber yesterday. Yeah.
Aye, that's all right.
I think the thing about going into games against, regardless of the opposition, if they've had a bad run, and it may be because it's happened to us before. So I think back to, if you remember, like Ebbe Skovdal at Aberdeen days, like they hadn't had a win for ages, and I think they hadn't had a win, they hadn't scored for ages. Of course, Hibs went up to Aberdeen. I think they were 1-0 up until I think Matty Jack won a penalty late on in the game, managed to salvage a point for us. So I think those things kind of like stick in the mind.
Mm-hmm.
What doesn't happen is like when you go to Livingston and maybe in similar circumstances, you think, well, like this could be how they break the duck, and it would be typical Hibs if they were to do it against us. What doesn't happen is when you get the victory and you come away and kind of like you don't really kind of like put it to bed. You're just kind of wait until the next example of that comes up.
Aye, that's a really good point. That's like, do you know when you think of somebody and they text you or they phone you and you go, "Oh, that's fucking mental. I was just thinking about them," and you remember, and you think that's weird how that happens, but you forget about all the times where you think about somebody and they didn't phone you or they text you. It's that bit you could add more importance to the time that it happens than the times where it doesn't. First half took us a while to get going, John. Didn't I? Like watching the game, I thought we started pretty poorly. It wasn't really until, I don't know, if midway through the first half that I thought we started to get a bit of a foothold in the game. Was that how you saw it?
I think that's pretty fair. And we were having a wee chat just before we started recording where I'd suggested that I thought that one of the things that David Martindale and Livingston were trying to do was stop Hibs playing out from the back, and just by flooding the Hibs side of the pitch with bodies. I think they did that pretty well, because like you say, like for the first wee bit, like it did seem like they were going to gain the upper hand and might even have had, I think they might have had a couple of opportunities early doors. I don't think they were great opportunities. I'm trying to remember. Was it first half that David Marshall has that ball off the face? Like I feel like
that was
a ball off the face.
It was his chest, just under his face. At first, I thought I'd maybe hit him in the balls. Kind of way when the commentators mentioned, "Oh, he's taking a sore one there," And I was like, I wonder if that's him right in the balls, but nah, it was off his chest.
Yeah. I know. So I think Livingston did have probably the better of the opening exchanges. And then as the game progressed, I think Hibs started to, especially down I want to say down the left hand side where Tavares was, I think we started to get a bit of joy down there. And that's ultimately where the goal came from.
John, can I just say, just remember, if you're going to ask us watching it on TV for an opinion, that if it was raining, we probably won't be able to help you very much because we were watching it like we were outdoors with a pair of glasses on that we
Right.
couldn't wipe. I don't know if you've seen sports. I just thought it was because it was Livy TV or whatever I had it on, right? And then I watched Sports Scene last night, and I was like, "Fuck's sake, the BBC cameras didn't even bother arse wiping them either."
Aye, it's like they gave up. It's like either boy
It's
for
just like
the camera person forgot their cloth to clean the lens.
With respect to the camera people, so where I was sat, I was kind of like cozy, like right up at the back of one of the stands, standing room only kind of thing. And as I was looking out, I think there's people that I felt most sorry for after the fans for having to watch that game of football was the people up in the gantry and above the main stand
Aye,
at the Tony Mac, because it was really shitty conditions down at ground level, never mind like a few feet up in there.
Rory Whittaker. So you mentioned Sean, they get the joy down the left hand side. I've got a view for both of you here, right? So I thought Rory Whittaker did really well defensively yesterday, but I thought we definitely missed Miller in an attacking sense on that right hand side. Do you think that was down to Whittaker sort of playing the conditions and not taking chances? I think it was Livy targeting that as a potential area where we might not be quite so strong, or what would you think that was down to?
Would they have known Whittaker was going to start? Because Aberdeen clearly knew Whittaker was going to start last week. And I'm not saying he's weak, but he is 16. You know what I mean? So he'll be naive tactically, maybe not physically strong enough and all that yet. So I would expect that for Aberdeen, knowing that he was going to play. But I don't know if any of us knew Miller was out. I don't think we really get tipped off in that kind of stuff in the newspaper anymore. It's like Montgomery doesn't tell you. So would they have known to target that? Because I don't know. Would they have done, like if Miller had been playing, would they have deliberately targeted that area? You know what I mean? I think, did they just get lucky? Or is that just maybe where they're strongest, down that side? Just so happened. Coincidence? Don't know. Does that answer your question?
I think so, but I mean, I suppose they would have known when the team lines came out like in enough time before kickoff for them to be able to say, by the way, if you press there. I thought Whittaker handled it well, but it was one of the things that they mentioned in the commentary a lot was that like a lot of the time Whittaker got the ball, what he did was he made sure he didn't lose possession and he came back inside. But the ball generally went backwards into Fisher handling. And what you normally get from Miller is he's prepared to drive on at the defenders. He'll take them on. But I don't have any problem with Whittaker doing that. I would much rather in that situation, in those conditions, that he takes that not just like a safety first, but it's like a pragmatic approach to the game. It's better that we keep the ball than him try to do something that's going to lose the ball in a dangerous area.
Yeah.
I think given his age, like he's probably going to want to do the simple things first. And I wonder how much of that comes from, like, I wonder what Montgomery's instructions to him are. Is it go out and express yourself and like pin their fullback, by getting forward, or is it find a Hibs jersey? Like, don't put yourself into situations that you can't recover from, because if he finds himself taking that run beyond the halfway line, if the opportunity presented itself and he gives the ball where he finds himself out of position, that's an immediate point of criticism for him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things from the fans that were not particularly sympathetic in that type of situation. It's going to be, well, he's fucking 16, he shouldn't be playing, he's no good enough, etc., etc. Yeah. So I thought, like, as much as it was that pragmatic approach that you're describing, there was definitely a couple of moments where, I don't know if I'd necessarily describe it as like dropping the shoulder, but he's definitely done something clever enough that's sort of like advanced the play.
Aye.
And then maybe it's a pass inside, or like just try to relieve that pressure a little bit, pass inside, or the conservative ball back away.
I think this is the first time we ever had like somebody get so bored midway through a podcast that they put the telly on. Collins just go, fuck this. I'm just putting. I thought your answer was good, John, as well. Like, I came, what, what Colin thought about there.
I'm so sorry.
Uh,
I thought I just realised the time, and I thought the Celtic game will be starting. So and I'm trying to mute it before. I should have muted me rather than I'm trying to mute the telly. Like, give me the telly comes on, I'll need to press mute as soon as it comes on. I'm thinking, why don't I just mute myself? Oh, fuck,
aye.
idiot. Apologies, John. It was dead interesting.
That's all right.
I thought Whittaker did well in the game. Anyway, that was kind of what I was pointing at. I think it was a difficult one. I thought Livy doubled up on him a lot of the time and they gave him no time at all. Whereas I thought when Obita got the ball, he had a bit more time. They were a bit less aggressive in pressing Obita, and also as a
How,
half.
sorry, I was just going to ask, like, how much, because I thought that Hibs had a good bit of joy down the left hand side, so that would bring a beat into the game, what you're describing. How much do you think that Livy's targeting of the right back area was to their detriment and is actually to Whittaker's credit?
Well, I mean, I suppose if you were going to, and I don't know how, I would imagine at professional level they think about these things, how much Hibs play on that, and maybe that's why Whittaker goes back inside as much as he does. Because if we give the ball to Whittaker and they press him and he immediately gives it to the middle so we can switch it to the left where there's space, that would appear to be a fairly sensible tactic to deploy. And it definitely worked because as the half were on, Abita and Jair were linking up really well. And like you said, John, that was how the goal came about. Colin, what were your thoughts on the goal?
I thought he finished it really well. Youan had a run, didn't he? Down the left hand side, the ball kind of broke, and it felt like there was like players closing in on him, but he just seemed to have loads of time, and he just passed it into the. But I thought it was really calm finish, considering he's not scored for so long as well. Was it? I think was it 10 games?
10 games, aye.
Which is quite a lot for him. Or it feels like it's quite a long run for him not to score. But I did feel the last couple of games he's been coming back onto a bit of a game, even at Parkhead during the week. He had a few runs with the ball and all that, and I thought he's starting to find his feet again. But I thought it was a cracking finish, considering the players around him. Just an easy wee pass, didn't they try and smash it, or just find the corner and knock it around the keeper. Nice wee finish.
It was a good finish and a welcome goal. John, there was an argument that Livy could have been down to 10. I think there was two instances, or three instances. Two of them were yellow cards on their right back, where the referees ignored the first one, which was a clear booking. He's let it go, and then almost seconds later, the boys committed a second bookable offence, for which he does get booked for. So I suppose you could argue that if he'd been booked for the first time, he does to make the second challenge. But what sort of explanation would you give for a referee not booking a player for a bookable offence?
I don't know.
How early in the game was it?
It was midway through the first half. It wasn't like it was like your first 10 minutes where folk get away with stuff.
Aye, it was definitely after that sort of opening period of pressure that Livingston had, so it was easily 25 minutes into the first half, if not later. I honestly can't I can't explain the referee's approach to not booking that player on each occasion. And I think if you refer to, there was an instance in the second half where I don't think it was the same player, but there was a Livingston player that was basically grappling with Ely Yuan, and Ely Yuan eventually gets away. And you'd think at the time, like, it could have been a free kick to Hibs, but Yuan's wriggled away, and you think, well, the referee's surely going to come back and he's going to book him, because the play continued for a wee bit after that, and he never did.
You get away with it. It depends on the time frame after it. That's one of them that I've spoken about before, where sometimes you think, why are they not checking the VAR? It almost just as well saying, I'm just going to kick the ball to play, because that'll give you a reason to go to the VAR. And it's like that. Sometimes if you get grappled and you play on, and if it's 30 seconds or longer, the referee just goes, fuck it, it's too long ago now.
Mm-hmm. Did you see the Liverpool game? Liverpool tried that yesterday. The boy had fouled the guy in the box. It was a penalty, but the referee hadn't played it. And Liverpool kept that ball in play as long as they possibly could, until the referee actually went, like, I'm stopping the game. And he stopped it rather than waiting for it to go out of play. And really? The VAR chip, it was a minute and a half. after the incident, which is like a
It's
long time in
interesting that, eh?
football. Eh?
So Liverpool are
Yeah.
clocked onto it and they're thinking if we didn't kick this ball out, it's not getting checked.
Aye, that's what I reckon they were trying to do because they had to play like that the whole rest of the game. So I was like, that's what they're doing. They're just trying to fucking stall for time and hope that it goes away.
Mm.
Obviously, the referee just intervened at that
You've got to
point.
find a way around it. It's mad. It's like
Aye,
it is annoying because we've had the discussion before about, and it's different to these ones we're talking about, but you don't get a foul even if you're fouled unless you fall down, and then they stop diving, and you're like, well, I've got to fall down, or you're not giving me the foul.
I think Raymond and I spoke about this at the game yesterday because it seemed like, and we're obviously watching the game through green tinted specs, but we got the impression that the referee, if the Livingston player was to go down, there would be a foul. So why are Hibs players not going down? And it felt like for me, from my perspective, it was, well, if we go down, he's not going to give us the foul, and that finds a player like then having to try and get up and track back. So why would you knowingly put yourself at that disadvantage?
I guess it's a tricky one when you get a ref like that. It seems to handle the team slightly different, and like you say, it's through green tinted specs, right? So maybe not as objective as could be. But the other incident was there was an elbow when the referee actually kind of made the elbow gesture to the boy as he's booking him, and I'm like, when does an elbow become a yellow card offence like that?
Is that when the first one comes into it? But this is where they go with the grey areas, though. Kind of like, oh well, because they even done it on Sports Scene last night. I only watched a bit of it. I watched the Hibs bit, but then I watched some of the other bits, and they were talking about the Rangers sending off. Aye, Rangers boy got sent off, and they were saying, well, I think McFadden says, well, it's a red card, but McCann was saying, well, he stood in them, but he's not. He never meant it, and it wasn't that hard, sort of thing. And then they bring all these sort of grey areas excuses in, and you go, well, what's the rule? So maybe maybe his elbow was up, but he never fucking threw it back, and it's a yellow for that. I don't know. Don't know, mate.
But that just seems
we didn't get told. We've got to work it out ourselves.
It just so because players jump and they tend to use their arms to try and like propel themselves, but then is someone going to get booked in the future for jumping? Is it how it's just bizarre? And like you say, it's almost like I wonder how much the media, the pundits, like help drive how games are officiated, because it seems like we hear things or we see things on the TV and then you see them being applied by the referees.
Aye, I think that
whereas the rules,
the
rules are the rules.
Pundits then came out and they flip from game to game as well.
They're inconsistent.
Aye, it just doesn't. They could watch the same incident virtually one week and give a different opinion on it than they will the next. And I suppose on that, Livy had I thought a good shout for a penalty in the first half, and Newell's kind of collided with the boy. I think the argument for the referee is that the guy's put his leg out to try and initiate the contact and then went down.
Yeah,
I can't have been screaming for it if it was.
We would have been.
If it was at the other end.
Yeah, we would have been. But I totally agree. We would be screaming for that. But it is soft as fuck, and the boy was looking for it, and so you think, well, but then next week, like, what are they going to do next week? You know what I mean? And that's where you go, well, we'll just take the win here. So, like, for the list that you've got in your head,
aye,
about when has VAR done us a favour, probably there because they never checked it.
Does it come into the clear and obvious error there then? Like that
I think that's
if they look at it and they think the referee's made a decision based on what he's seen and it's contentious enough that they go, we'll stick with on-field decision. But what do you think, John?
The boys in the telly said they thought it was clear and obvious, but
I don't know. I don't know how to describe this. The whole clear and obvious thing, like it gets thrown up, and I'll be honest, like I was confused to begin with because I thought originally that wasn't like part of the ruling, but I've since read that that is part of the justification for VAR reviewing it or whatever. But then, is that not open to interpretation itself? Has it been worded so vaguely that it's open to interpretation by the people that are in the booth or the offices or whatever it happens to be? I know in Scotland it's meant to be like a wee porta cabin in Hart Hill or something. I don't know what it's like down south or elsewhere in the world. But clear and obvious. So like you look at that one, like have the people in the booth looked at that Joe Newell penalty incident and said that's not clear and obvious, so they've not said anything to the referee? Is that, and they're saying that the referee has got his decision on the field correct?
Aye. I think that's what they're effectively saying is that the referee was, you know,
So does that
his
add weight?
interpretation of the incident was acceptable.
Does that add weight to the justification then that like two separate groups of referees have said that the Livingston player has essentially initiated contact there?
Mhm.
Therefore, it's no penalty. Therefore, because I think this is what we've tried to get at before. Matt, you've tweeted about it with regards to VAR and how VAR does operate correctly at times, albeit it doesn't operate consistently across all the clubs. And Colin, you've mentioned it with regards to rugby about football. Sorry, in rugby, it's more about getting the right decision, even if it's unpopular. Whereas in football, we just want the decision to go our way. So that would, like, from looking at it yesterday, like when I watched Sports Scene last night, I couldn't see it properly at the ground for weather conditions and being too far away from it. But watching it on Sports Scene last night, and the explanation for it was that the Livingston player tried to initiate contact, and I think you can see that pretty clearly for the footage. So the fact that the referee's seen that on the pitch, and the VAR guys haven't said that there was a clear and obvious error there, that kind of suggests to me that it was the right decision.
Mhm.
And because of the green tinted specs, I'm happy.
Mhm. They're always trying to initiate contact, or most of the time. Sometimes you do actually get hacked, but the amount of the ones where you just think, I'm just going to go in front of the ball because they've got to run into the back of me. That's all. That's all. How many of them? I bet you over 50% of penalties are because somebody's went, well, if I get to the ball first, it's a penalty. You know, like if you're running towards the goalie, you didn't need to actually do anything. You just need to touch the ball before the goalie, and you think, he's got to bring you down. That's initiating contact.
Who was the Martin Boyle one against the last sort of like 3-4 games? I think it was away from home. Was it Dundee? No, it wasn't Dundee. Was it?
What we're talking about here?
Or in fact, sorry, Martin Boyle, was it maybe against Kilmarnock where he's running through, but he's sort of like running across the player a little
that
bit?
was against Kilmarnock, and the guys.
Yeah.
Aye.
I thought that, see, and again, like maybe the green tinted specs, I thought there was justification for a penalty there, because the Kilmarnock players like kind of leaning on him. Whereas, like, and I think there is definite differences between the two scenarios. I'm not suggesting for a second that they are comparable, but it's the whole like how it seems like there's like layers of things to go through to try and get to the right decision, and there is like you can never just go, well, this is exactly the same as that.
Aye, it's one of these ones. I kind there's one team would have got the penalty. Kind of, other teams in Scotland, they definitely would have been given a penalty for one club.
There's two.
Well, aye, two, but yeah, all right, take that. But Livy obviously want to get in it. I thought it could have been given. If it had been given, it's one of these ones. If it was given, folk would have justified why it was a penalty as well. Do you know, like the pundits? I think they said the sports scene anyway. The one said it was, and one said it wasn't. If I remember, but I think if it had been given, they would have looked at the contact. They would have said it was clumsy for renewal, etc., and went with the referee. I like to see the referee do what they did there, and if the player's blatantly playing for it and sticking the leg out to try and get the contact, then it's right not to give the penalty. So, aye, could have went either way. I thought we maybe got away with one, but I'll take it all day long. Into the second half, then we get a second goal against that. Again, we talked about VAR intervened. I was amazed it went to VAR in the first place. The kind of linesman never had his flag up for it straight away. It was one of the most obvious offsides fucking going. Why do you think it took as long as it did to get a decision on it?
I don't know.
Is it because they do flag? They meant to let the play go on. I was watching the game last night, the Villa game, and the Liverpool player, I think, somebody looked. I can't remember what it was. One of them looked offside, and you go, "That's fucking miles offside." They went round the keeper, put it in, and then they flagged it offside.
Aye.
You know, so they've got to let the bit of play finish, and you think they could have got injured in that whole period there. But if the flag and then they are onside, then the defenders go, well, I was distracted by the flag. So you're no meant to flag. So was it a case that no, because he still would flag, eh?
Aye, the flag
even
was
so
up
the goal
after
would
the
go in,
event.
then he would
Aye.
put the flag up. I bet he never flagged at all.
Nah, because we lined up to take kickoff again, or for Livy to take kickoff, and there was a big hold up for it. And I don't know if it was because it came off the defender or whether they were looking for a touch between Boyle and the goalie.
Because they were both offside as well, so they'd be checking. Because Boyle then you would then be doing to the was Boyle interfering. So was there a deflection? Would that count? Was it deliberate? Was Boyle offside? Was he interfering with play? Right, was Venti offside? So you can imagine, but because we don't get to hear what they say, this would be all the steps they would be taking, which I'm assuming why it took so long. Check that, check was he interfering, check then was Venti offside.
Aye.
Because the easy bit might have just went, just check who scored it, check that first. Was he offside? Aye, right, we need to check all the other shit, because whether they were onside or no, he was off and he scored.
Aye. I just couldn't believe the linesman ever put his flag up for it. That was the thing that got me, because you watched it and went, fuck it, it's obvious that they're off. It isn't even like that's tight. You know, the one late in the game where Levy get called offside, where again VAR goes through the process of checking for the penalty. That was a tight one. You can understand why the linesman would put his flag up there, because it's a boy, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think Venti was that far offside, and there's an argument to say, the fuck were you even doing there in the first place? Like, you can clearly see the line is to your right.
Aye.
Yeah.
Why are you just standing there?
Aye. Both Boyle and Fenton were well offside. I don't know if the cross coming in or whatever, but you're right.
Venti's got them all in front of him. Those John's argument, he can see it along. Boyle's at the front post, isn't he?
Yeah. Sorry, the only reason I singled out Venti there was just because he was the one that nodded it in, and I think I couldn't see that he was offside at the game. It was only in the sports angles last night, as you're looking at it, you realise just how far offside, like you say.
Did you celebrate
for the viewers watching at home? Yeah.
Aye. Why? I thought you didn't celebrate goals when does he be? That's what I keep hearing.
I've never said that.
No, I'm not. No, you. But people say.
I kind of understand the argument, because you do find yourself in situations like Matty just described, where the players are kind of standing at the halfway line, and then you get all the usual sort of shouts for around about, like if it's taken this long, then just award the goal, blah blah blah.
Aye, I think we need to get the AI one for it. Like, you see that where it does the image and just automatically it'll say there's these fucking kneecaps offside or whatever, and you can it does it all dead quick. I think how expensive that is, but that's chance you heated it.
Far too long.
Aye, there. The second half was pretty much then Livy just trying to force us back. We really struggled to kind of get any real momentum going, I thought. And we had Marshall made the save that you referred to, John. And then in the injury time, just to kind of wrap up, we had that incident there where the Livy players gone through, taking a really good touch, got a shot away, Hanlon's blocked it, it's come off his arm, gone out for a corner. And then there's a minute and a half of VAR where they're looking for a penalty. They go with the monitor and then come back and the boys offside.
Aye.
What were you taking that situation, Colin?
Well, I was sitting watching it on TV, right? So probably a different view for John, obviously. Because I thought, oh, fuck, that's hit his hand. Was one of my on the first replay. First time I thought, Marshall saved that. Then I seen the replay, I thought, that's hit his hand. And I thought, then you're into the demeanour. Is it unnatural? All the fucking daft things that we talk about. And I thought, it looks offside. And then when he goes into the monitor, I thought, oh, fuck's sake, it's a penalty. Because why else would he be going to the monitor?
Aye.
And then I thought he'll get it because it's hit his hand, and that's usually the rule. Like, obviously they can pick and choose, but most of the time, because it hit his hand high up, it was going to be a penalty. And then he said offside. And my initial reaction was, I need to get Matthew to explain this on the podcast. The referees went over to get up to decide if it's offside.
Champion.
Exactly. But I watched Sports Scene last night, as I've said a couple of times now, and they were, I think it was Stevie Thompson, it almost suggested that the offside was taking that long to decide. They thought, go and decide if it was a penalty while we keep looking at the offside. And I thought, well, maybe there's some truth in that. Because they don't know, and they'll be pissing about with their two cameras and how close is it? Is it like the Martin Boyle one in the semi-final and all that? And then they're going, well, it's probably a penalty, but we'll come back and check the offsides. Go and you check that now while we do this.
So what I think it is to do with when VAR can get involved with an offside. So had Hanlon blocked that with his coupon and they went out for a corner, Livy would have got the corner. They wouldn't have gone back and looked at the offside, right? Because VAR will not just automatically check an offside through normal pass play.
It would have been checked in.
If the boy had scored they would have checked the offside.
Right.
And they would have got called back and we would have got it. Or if it was a penalty, they go back and check the offside as well. That's the only times where they would go back and check it. So for them to check the offside using VAR, the referee has to first decide is it a penalty. And it's stupid because they could have went, applied a bit of common sense. They didn't listen, it has at his hand, but the boy's offside, just that's all you need to ken. It doesn't really need that sort of palaver with the linesman, with the referee, especially going over the fucking screen and everything, like going through that and then to say, by the way, surprise dickhead, he's offside.
Well, it's funny, right? Because I've told you before, like, my mother-in-law's deaf, right? So my wife can do a wee bit of lip reading, right? No brilliant at it, but she can do a wee bit. And we were sitting watching it, she went, he's just said it's offside. And then he went to the screen, and I went, well, he can't be fucking offside. Like, 3 of us were sitting here.
Aye.
Can't be offside, because he's got the screen, he's got to get the penalty now. And she's, well, that's what it looked like he said. And we were doubting her lip reading abilities. But it's like he knew it was offside before he went to the screen.
Aye.
Then come back and say it was offside.
But that's why it is. They have to establish it's a penalty so they can give the offside.
I think he had told Hanlon in that, and whoever he was standing there, it's offside. On the screen.
Aye.
So the handler, there was no like jeopardy for them, whereas we were sitting there, who's gone, fuck's sake.
Aye.
Well, you must have been at the ground, John, thinking as soon as you go to the screen, he's giving it, eh?
Yeah. I think there's a lot of like the sort of circumstances that come into account there. So I think the results where they were at that point, so Hibs were winning, Hearts were getting beat, we were going to go fourth in the table above them, etc., etc. And then you think, fuck, we're at Livy. Livy have had the better of these fixtures against us recently, and it's been a shitey day, and it's like the last kick of the ball. He's going to the monitor, it's going to be a penalty. Pot luck whether Marshall saves it or not. And then you have the sort of head-scratching moment of what Matty's just described, where he goes to the monitor, he comes away and you're thinking, well, he's going to award the penalty, and then he signals for offside, and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like, how do we manage to continue to ask these questions about this thing?
We make things look so difficult. We do. It's like football's meant to be a simple game. VAR should help it become more simple, and actually we've made it more complicated. But triviality like that, like or formality or whatever the fuck that is, like he's offside, but go and just check the penalty anyway, and then we'll tell them there's offside. What the fuck is he offside? Like,
taking into account Matty's explanation, which I'm happy to get on board with because I'm no the VAR champion, and he is. See if the ball has come off of Hanlon's face and it's gone out for a corner, and Livy score for that corner. Even
they didn't take it back. Nah.
No, they've had
so
that
it can
before.
be so certain rule infringements, depending on the certain set of circumstances, could allow a team to get an advantage from it.
Aye, and yeah.
Well, that's flawed.
Of course, it's flawed. But what I would say though is, like, for all the palaver around the VAR yesterday, the two big moments, which were Vente's goal and the penalty shout at the end, they both got the right outcome. So the referee had given us a goal, right? The linesman had to flag the offside. We're back ready to kick off again. Although it's gone in our favour, that would have been a fucking massive injustice on Livingston. And at 2-0, it probably would have taken them right out of the game. So, especially if they're on the form. And that wouldn't have been fair. It would have worked in our favour and we would all have taken it. But, realistically, that wouldn't have been fair. Poor refereeing would have cost Livingston a goal where they've defended it fine. They played a good offside. VAR sorted that situation out. And VAR sorted the situation at the end where we got the offside, which was the right outcome. Had the boy been onside, it also would have got Livy the penalty, which would have been the right thing as well, because where Hanlon's hand is and under the rules as they are, it would have been the fair thing, which the referee didn't give the penalty in the first instance either. So whichever way you look at it, although VAR the process it was shit, it has got the decisions right. So although you could argue, right, so it could intervene with the red card for the elbow, or and it doesn't get involved with yellow cards or whatever, or the penalty renewal. Actually, that game's not been decided on referee decisions, and then the score is what the score should have been. And VAR did that. Like, VAR's contributed to it. So although it's a messy process, I think there's still folk lose it as well. Like, they argue about the process because the process is shit, and it's shit when you're at the stadium. But ultimately, we didn't concede a penalty there because of VAR getting the right outcome.
It's right, and that's what VAR was for. Yeah. It was to get decisions better. The problem is or some of the problem is that when it doesn't get involved and you don't know. And like I said, what did I say? The other
100%.
week? Communication and education.
Aye.
That's what we've not got. You watch any other sport, and I'm not just using rugby, cricket, the other ones that use it. I don't watch American football, but I bet you can hear the referees talking, And I know that you didn't hear that on the ground, right? So you'd then be benefiting, requiring screens or something to tell you. But for the spectator in the house, you get to hear what's going on. It takes all of that confusion and ambiguity. How do you say it? Ambiguity. That's it. Takes that away. Whereas it doesn't for in the ground. They need to find a solution for that. But it's just it's not the VAR here.
Aye.
It's the process around it and the communication around it.
Even in England, they've started showing the incidents on the screens if they've got them. Like to say this is what's been given. They did that. I think in the Liverpool game yesterday as well. And again, that's like a level of transparency that's just fucking missing for the Scottish game. And I can know every club's got the big screens, but if they've got screens there, put it on. It's no beyond their wit to be able to do it.
Aye, I agree.
Anyway, right, so we didn't concede the penalty. We saw it the game, 3 points up the roads. 4th place. Let's get to some listener questions, right? So first one, or comments. First one's from Scott Miller. And Scott said, 5 games ago, I said that it doesn't matter how we get 3 points, we just need to win games. We've won 4 out of 5 since, and it's not been pretty. Nick M seems to have got the players playing for him, which is fantastic. Can we win at St Johnstone and Ross County?
I hope so, because I predicted we would. I just think we can, aye. But it's not easy because how often? So let's disregard the Celtic result, like whoever it was that's been saying to you, right? And that would be what, 7 or 8 wins in a row if we were to do that, which is rare for any Hibs manager. So I remember the last time I remember it really getting spoken about was like when Mowbray was in charge and we would go for 8 wins in a row or something. It doesn't happen. It's not a thing that really happens. And in these games, if you were saying it even at the start of the season and you're on paper and you're going Livy away, St Johnstone away, Ross County away, one after the other. I know that's not how the fixtures were drawn, and we've instigated a bit of that ourselves, but you're going, fuck me, that's a shit 3 weeks. Because the games will be shite, they'll be hard games, and they'll be close. Like, we rarely go and beat any of them. They have done, but we rarely go and hammer any of them, certainly away from them. So we can, but it'll be tough.
Aye. John, do you think it makes a difference when there's a run form? And think it gets in the players' heads that does it become harder to win the next game when you're on a bit of run, or should it become easier?
That's a really good question, and I don't know how to answer it. I think there's maybe a bit of both. I think there's probably. Well, what do you think? What do you think the manager's role is in managing the expectations of a run like this? Because obviously, you could say that he's accountable for it, and we've talked about that when it's like from a negative point of view when managers are accountable when results are only going their way, but when results are going your way and you are putting that sort of run together, is it the manager's responsibility to kind of like calm the players down from being like maybe just a little bit too confident and maybe putting that run at stake, or is it up to them to say, no, fuck, like you boys are doing really well, go out and keep doing what you're doing?
Do you know where the cliche of one game at a time comes in? Like you almost like need to get the players just focused on the game in front of them. Because I think it was Jack Ross used to do like targets for like a group of games, and I'm sure loads of managers will do it. We'll say like out of these games, this is the number of points that we want to achieve from it, and be like they'll be realistic with it. So it'll not be like however many games times 3, which is what everybody will be wanting. Can you want to win all your games? But they'll probably go, right, if we out of these 5 games, if we can come away with 12 points, then that's a good result for us. However we do it, so there's maybe like an element of that, or you just focus them on forget what's just happened. Next game's now the most important. Get through that one, and then we'll tackle the one after that.
I think I would look at I looked at the league table yesterday, and it didn't seem that long ago that St Mirren were the team that were in third, and they were like had a massive lead over everyone else, and everyone else was kind of like within that sort of two or 3 points each other from the bottom of the league up to like 4th place. But now you're starting to see a little bit of that gap appearing. So with regards to momentum, I think there's an argument there to say like you can definitely like you've come through some really stiff tests recently. Like there's a really good opportunity to go out and beat St Johnstone. Like focus on like so rather so didn't look at like the 180 minutes, go and look at the 90 minutes, and it is a wee bit of cliche.
Aye.
Just put all the preparation into going and meeting that challenge.
I wonder though as well, having these 3 games now. I could be talking into why we switched. I looked at that game maybe switched, but these 3 games will all be quite similar. Shitty, tough games. So the setup might be the same. The tactics might be the same. Like because it's there. Can we talk about? We find it harder when we're playing like Ross County at home. We've got to do all the pressing and the attacking, and then we've got to switch to Parkhead to maybe defend a bit more, and we're switching between
Yeah.
tactics or formations or whatever. Whereas other teams just play the same way every week. Well, we're playing the same way every week for the next 3 weeks because it's the same
Aye.
again, isn't it? These 3 away games.
Same game, different opponent. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right, Jeff Ashton said a few ref issues. The straight arm on a high B in the first half. Fish, how is that a yellow? Why wasn't Brandon booked for stopping a breakaway when his next one is a red? Why go to the monitor for an offside? Never going to be pretty on the pitch in this weather. A good 3 points. I think we covered all of that already. And I hope the explanation for
we didn't cover the pitch.
The pitch
We
looked.
normally one about the pitch.
It looked shite, didn't it?
Looked wet. It looked like puddles were forming.
Aye.
Yeah, definitely. Especially, I couldn't see. It might have just been the way that the floodlights were shining on different parts of the pitch, but certainly just to the left of the goalkeeper, towards like the sort of Livingston centre end. I know this will make sense for people that are familiar with the area, but there was definitely like a sort of, I wouldn't necessarily say standing water, but it definitely looked wetter than other areas of the pitch.
Interesting though, I was just reading the Hibs Observer this morning, or was it doesn't matter. I read an article recently, and it said that we've been training on that official pitch all week ahead of the game. Like, how is that innovative? Like, that is amazing that is reportable. Right, we should have been doing that.
Aye.
Well, so
Yeah.
if that's going to get us ready to play in plastic, why have we not been doing that? It's done there. Fucking stays there at HTC. Like, it's there every week. It's there every day. Use it. Mental.
Seems like
The new manager's
obvious
coming with
thing.
this great approach. Came out with playing artificial. We'll train on artificial this week. Aye. Of course you will.
There'll be all managers listening to this now going, we fucking did that as well. They just never tell anybody.
Yeah.
They must have, eh?
But they're obviously talking about them banning plastic pitches. I don't when if there's like a grace period for them, but I think it's a good thing. I don't think I've ever seen a really good game at Livingston. Like, and when you've got shit conditions, which happens a lot in Scotland, it just makes it worse. Like yesterday, the game was shite, do you know? And
was it better for us because it was wet though? Because the ball was moving. I mean, Montgomery mentioned the ball was moving quick. It was a fast pitch or something.
I don't know if it was like because it didn't look like it was better for us. Although we got the win, it wasn't like we were playing free flowing football. We had Livingston pegged back. The opposite was probably true for a lot of the game.
I think
I just wondered if it was normally slow. Like normally they'd load it with a rubber on the Saturday morning.
I'd suggested that a bit of moisture, like if the rain had maybe like stopped as the game kicked off, or maybe even like in the second half, it might have continued to play in our favour. But the fact that it was almost too wet, it's almost too much like a real surface, like because if you're playing on grass, like it can be too wet in the ball, like you try and get like a wee ball over the top or something, it just skids and off it goes. It became more like that yesterday. So that advantage, you kind of went from plastic pitch advantage to it being evened out because it was a bit slick and you think, well, you're going to be able to play that game, to actually becoming just the long ball fest that it became.
Okay, Lauren said good performance under horrendous conditions. Started off shaky and Whittaker was struggling early on, but he got better, as did the team. Ref was giving them soft free kicks all game and gave us nothing. VAR was correct for both offsides, but Obolai should have been off. I like Penrith. I thought Penrith had a good game as well against us. He probably caught the eye out of the Livingston team out of everybody, but
is that because he was one of the few players that wasn't over 6'3", 6'4"?
Aye, maybe.
In the Livy squad.
Maybe. Baz said, could the Livy cameraman not clean the fecking glass? It was coloured blobs running about at times. Apart from that, we ground out another result in 3 points. Not pretty, but I'll take it. And the surface is shite. Gaz on safari, the team spirit is getting us these wins. With the addition of a few quality players, I'm hoping we start to dominate games and start winning comfortably. Brilliant start for Nick Montgomery, but hopefully we've not even scratched the surface yet. On that, I was reading a thread on Hibs.net just before we came on about the gaffer. That's the thread title was gaffer, and there's people kind of giving their opinions on him. And
I hate that getting called gaffer.
Gaffer. What I hate is when the manager insists on it. Some of them are like that, like call me gaffer, like you need to call me gaffer now, for fuck's sake. What a nonsense. Go over yourself. Some folk were complaining about the style of play. Right, they were saying that it's great that we're winning, but we're not great to watch, which, you see that argument over the last few managers. Some people are not quite convinced, but then a lot of folk really positive towards Nick Montgomery. Where do you both stand? Colin, come to you first. Where are you at with Montgomery at the moment?
I'm really happy. Lost 2 games since he came in September.
Mm.
Like, we sat here for years moaning about no winning games or losing games we should have won or drawn or whatever. We've lost 2 away to Rangers, away to Celtic. Take that. If we beat everybody like it's shown, or not lose to everybody else, we'll finish third. And that take out Johnson's first few games, we'd probably be quite comfortable in third. Like if the season had started when Montgomery came in, we lost a bit of ground. We've kind of made it up now, more or less. I know we're still behind St Mirren. We are still behind St Mirren, eh?
Yeah, well, yeah.
But they had a great start of the season. Like, we wouldn't have lost that first game of the season to St Mirren 3-2. Like, if Montgomery had been in charge, I don't think, based on what we've seen since. So we're winning games. We're winning shitty games away to Livingston that we have struggled in the past. We've turned the draws that we were getting at the start that we might have lost. They were draws. Now they're wins. The style of play will come. It's maybe not going to come right away. They're knocking. I think they're trying to play decent stuff. They're trying to play out for the back. We all know what it is. We've got settled 8, 9 players that we know we're going to be playing. We could pick the team for Saturday probably now, give or take. Whether Boyle and Yuan both start, or whether it's Miller or Whittaker, or whether it's Hanlon or Bashiri, that's about it. You even know when the subs are coming on now.
Aye.
Like, Levitt will be coming off about 70 minutes. You know what I mean? But it's solid, and you've got to start for a base, if you know. Like, you've got to start for somewhere. Like, we're not letting with clean sheets, 2 clean sheets in a row, is it? Well,
no.
Excluding the Celtic game.
Excluding the free hit.
Well, excluding the Celtic game. They agreed that, right? But in normal games, in the games where we're on a par with budget and all that, and on a level playing field, where we're not letting goals in.
The non-free hits.
Aye.
So,
I don't know why. I don't know why people aren't happy just to like get on the journey. It's not like we're struggling. We're winning games.
John, same question to you. If you remember what it was, where do you stand on Montgomery? Like,
That's
how
a
are you feeling
aggressive
about him?
behaviour there. You hear that? Fucking cheeky bastard.
Where do I stand? I'm all right. I'm all right with where we are. When I think back to some of the, or when I try and remember some of the, how is it I can remember things that I've said in like previous episodes, but I can't remember pre-Colin's answer. But we're doing all right. Like, I understand. Like, I think part of the we're winning, but we're not playing well. Like, there's maybe an element of impatience there that we see when we're watching the game in the stadium. You know, we want in the stadium, like, we're maybe holding onto the ball, we're trying to move players out of position, all that sort of tactical stuff that's way beyond my understanding. I just like to see Hibs like pass the ball and score goals. I think where we are, as Colin mentioned there, like 3 games at the start of the season, lost, conceded a number of goals. There was difficulties there with cross balls, difficulties there with just losing games. I think there was maybe an argument to say that there was a loss of confidence among the squad. Johnson's moved, Montgomery's came in. There's no transfer window. There's none of that opportunity for players. For the manager to bring on his own players or to, like, properly start to implement his own vision. But what I think he is doing is getting results out of the squad, which is one of the arguments that we've made in the past with previous managers. Is you need to do better with what do better with what you have.
Yeah.
We've lost 2 games against the 2 richest sides in the country, arguably the 2 best sides in the country. We're starting to pick up results against the other teams that we want to be picking up results against. That you're more likely to get the results against. And I think we're in a good place. Like I'd mentioned maybe privately to you guys that some of the results that we had with draws, like they're not the most appealing in terms of like the league table, for example, or the amount of points that you get, but you're not getting beat. So you start using that as your foundation, you start eking out the wins,
Right.
and then you suddenly start looking ahead to, it's less about like the next couple of games and, the conversations we have where you say, right, these next 6 games, these next 5 games, like we're going to get X amount of points, like we need to be winning these games. You start looking a little bit further ahead and say, right, fuck, if this is what Montgomery's done with the the side that had that really poor start to the season, but he's made those improvements and addressed those weaknesses, you think, well, what's the next step? Where's he going to take us to next if he gets his own time and he gets that? And really, I think it comes down to time, because he's had that limited time so far to implement something. What can he do with the resources that become available to him? And especially if we start talking about like a possible investment in minority ownership or minority stake for billionaires.
Yeah.
It's a longer answer than mine, by the way.
I was just about to say that. I forgot what I asked, what the question was. I agree with you both. I think I'm right on board with the Montgomery thing. I think actually we'll maybe kind of talk about that like in an extra time as we get kind of closer to the end of the year. We might dedicate a wee extra time episode to reviewing Montgomery's time so far. Vince Robinson says, team showed real character today to grind out that result. Thought Hanlon and Marshall were superb, not being Hanlon's luckiest ground, so delighted for him. But it was good to see Hanlon get the man of the match award as well. I thought he deserved it.
Was
Ryan
that some of our partners? Did we mention that at the start?
I don't care if I did.
Never.
I'll need to go and record my bit of that again and just see if I can add it in without it being
sure,
weird.
Man.
Aye. Fuck. That's not. I need to get better at that. It's because it's still quite new to us. Right. Ryan Lyle said, tough conditions, even worse surface. Take the points and run. Hanlon can still do a job. Maybe not every week, but solid today. Jair getting better each game. Second half, there was chances to get the ball into the challenge quicker, get them turning with their pace. The ref was crap again. Paraphrase image had Martindale tears. Just to be video with the water coming down over the stadium. Gordy asked, where can I buy a Nick Montgomery green zippy jumper? Hibs have missed a trick with that. Have you?
Mm.
You need to... Or you get it for next, right? You need to showcase it next time we record them.
I saw the Hibs Daz coming out over Christmas with a green zippy jumper at the Hibs games.
That's it, yes. So somebody posted a picture yesterday with a boy with Hibs trainers. That's a step too far, I think, if you pardon the pun. Raymond Gray said, horrific weather in Park, stuck to trying to play football, great 3 points. Last season that would have been a loss. Special mention for Hanlon, top performance. Yeah, I agree with that. Kaiser Soze said, is playing from back and constantly passing back mutually exclusive. Marshall was really finding some form and Campbell's sub was masterful to right back. Question, was the ref A, allergic to rational thought, B, incompetent, or C, hearts are falling apart again? A, B or C?
I'm happy to go C, but I don't want to go too early on that yet.
Aye.
Yeah. Next week.
No, a derby coming up,
Yeah.
John, you have an A, B or C?
I'll go B. I forget what A and B were. One of them was allergic to rational thought.
So A's allergic to rational thought, B is incompetent. Always the same. C, hearts are falling apart again. Or do you need options again? Do you remember the question? No. Right, let's just leave that instead.
There. Yeah.
Cannon Hans says, not pretty, but ground out. The win. And 6 from 9 would have taken that before last Sunday. Dare say beating Aberdeen's no for everyone. Ray Forsyth said, every time I bookmark a Jambo saying mind the gap, I go to find they've all been deleted. DJ875 said, Hanlon is nowhere near finished. Brian Ross said, we're fourth with Aberdeen pumping hearts. Who cares? It was only 1-0. And finally, the half Monty said, we were dreadful, but it's 3 points we would never have got under the last few managers. We're winning ugly, just wish we'd dominate teams and score 3 or 4. So just before I go into predictions for next week, we also sold Melkerson this week. What were your thoughts on that?
I'm fine with that. That's a great profit. I was never that convinced, so happy to cut our losses or cut our profits in this case.
John?
It's difficult to know how to feel. Like I take Colin's point there. Like it seems like selling players for the reported fee that haven't really played for you, kind of scratch your head a wee bit and go, how's that possible? And also, I do think that there was a player there. However, when you consider like the amount, when you consider the time that he spent at Hibs and the number of managers that he had, you wouldn't grudge him a move elsewhere to try and get his career back on track, because I think it stalled a wee bit here. But I do think he was a player, and I feel like if he'd worked with Montgomery sooner, we could have had a real talent on our hands.
Aye, that pretty much sums up nicely how I feel about it as well, John. I'm quite gutted that he was gone. I thought there was a player there, and I thought had he got a bit of time with Montgomery, we probably would have seen quite a special talent. But having the sell-on's good. The money was really, really good. So you have to say it's a good bit of business for Hibs all in. And we wish him all the best.
Yep.
Right, we're going to go and record extra time just now, so we're going to look back at the tactics that Hibs adopted at Celtic on Wednesday night. And if we've got enough time, we're also going to kind of have a wee look at the progress being made on the investment. As the story was breaking yesterday, that Bill Foley looks to be about to have his minority shareholding ratified by, I think whether it needs to be ratified by the SFA, but certainly the report was the lawyers are putting the finishing touches to it. So we'll talk about that. Thanks very much for sending the comments. If you don't subscribe, you can find us on Patreon or on Hubwave, and the link is on our Twitter. And thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.
Well, they trailed me down when I broke free. I drank all the whiskey in Tennessee. I don't drink water, no.